Welcome to Simply Explained English. I am Lisa.
And I am Eric. If you improve your English, this podcast is perfect for you.
So grab a snack, sit back, and let's dive into today's words. So, what are the words today, Eric?
The first word today is essential. Then we will continue with consent and to display, then to stand out. And the final one is break the ice. Before moving on, I want to say that two of today's words are requests from our followers. They wanted us to explain the words consent and to display. So, our followers, if you have some words you want us to explain, please write them down in the comments section.
Great. We are looking forward to the words from our followers. Okay, let's start with the first word, Eric.
The first word is essential.
Great. Let's explain what essential means.
Essential means very important or necessary. It's something that you really need and can't do without.
That's right. We use essential to talk about things that are crucial or absolutely needed.
Let me give an example sentence. Water is essential for life. It means that we can't live without water.
Good example. Here's another one. A passport is essential for international travel. It means that you must have a passport if you want to travel to other countries. You can't go without it.
That's a great example, Lisa. Now, let's have a sample dialogue to show how we might use this word in a conversation.
Okay, class, let's talk about what's essential for our camping trip next week.
Is a sleeping bag essential, Ms. Johnson?
Yes, a sleeping bag is absolutely essential. You'll need it to stay warm at night.
What about a phone? Is that essential too?
Well, a phone can be useful, but it's not essential. The most essential items are food, water, and warm clothes.
That was a good use of essential in context. I really like how it shows the difference between things that are essential and things that are just nice to have.
Yes, it's a useful word for setting priorities. So, Eric, what do you think is essential for learning a new language?
Well, I think, first of all, studying regularly is essential for learning a language. You need to keep on using it to improve.
I agree with that. I also think having a good dictionary is essential for language learners. It helps you understand new words.
That's true. It's essential to have tools that help you learn.
Definitely. You know, I find it interesting that essential can be different depending on the situation and people.
You're right. For example, a coat is essential in cold weather, but not in hot weather or for people living in hot countries.
Exactly. Essential things for everybody can change based on their needs and conditions.
That's right, Lisa. Well, I think we've covered essential pretty well. Essential is an essential word for English learners to know.
Uh-huh. Nice wordplay, Eric.
Thank you, Lisa.
Shall we move on to our next word?
Yes, let's do that. We still have a few more essential words to explain today.
Great. What's next on our list?
The next word is consent.
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 Consent is a noun, and it means to give permission or to agree to something. When you give your consent, you are saying, like, yes, it's okay. Or, okay, you can do it.
Yes, that's a good way to put it, Lisa. Now, let's look at an example sentence. She gave her consent to the project. It means that she agreed to the project or said it was okay to move forward with it.
Here's another example. He asked for her consent before sharing the photo. It means that he wanted to make sure she was okay with him sharing the photo, so he asked her first.
It's also important to remember that consent can be both a noun and a verb. As a verb, it changes slightly to consent to. For example, she consented to the plan. which means she agreed to the plan.
Yes, good point, Eric. Now, let's give our listeners a short dialogue to see how consent can be used in a conversation.
We need to get the manager's consent before we start this new project.
I agree. Without her consent, we can't move forward.
Let's write an email to ask for her consent today.
In this dialogue, Anna and Mike are talking about needing their manager's consent before starting a new project. Anna says they need to get the manager's consent, meaning they need to get her permission because they can't continue without the manager saying it's okay.
Exactly, Eric. So, in this conversation, they use the word consent 3 times, each time meaning permission or agreement.
Yes, Lisa, consent is a very important word in both professional and personal situations. Remember to always ask for consent when something might affect someone else. It's both polite and necessary. What do you think, Lisa? Is it hard to ask for consent sometimes?
I think it can be a little hard, especially if you're not sure what the other person will say. But it's always better to ask for consent. Asking for consent shows respect for the other person's feelings and choices.
Yes, I think so. Sometimes people forget or think it's not necessary, but it really is, whether it's something small, like sharing a photo, or something bigger.
I completely agree, Eric. And for our listeners, it's important to practice using the word consent correctly in sentences. It will help you be more polite and clear in your communication.
Yes, and remember the difference between consent as a noun and as a verb. It's a useful word to know in many different situations.
That's right. We hope our followers now have a better understanding of the word consent and how to use it. Let's move on to the next word.
The next word is to display.
To display.
To display. To display is a verb that means to show something or put it where people can see it clearly. It can be used for objects, information, or even feelings. For example, the museum displays many old paintings.
Good example. It means that the museum shows or exhibits many old paintings for visitors to see.
Exactly. Can you give the next example, Lisa?
Sure. Here's my example. John likes to display his trophies on a shelf in his room. It means that John puts his trophies on a shelf in his room so that people can see them easily.
That's right. We can also use display as a noun, like a display of flowers or on display in the shop window.
Good point, Eric. Now, let's listen to a short dialogue using our word display.
Hi, Sarah. Can you help me display these new products?
Sure. Where do you want to display them?
Let's display the books on this shelf and the toys in the window display.
Okay. Should we display the prices too?
Yes, please. It's important to display the prices clearly for customers.
That was a great dialogue. The shop owner and Sarah used our word display several times to talk about showing products in the shop.
I agree. Good displays can make things look more interesting or beautiful. Have you ever seen a display that really impressed you?
Yes, I remember. A great window display in a big city store. The clothes and decorations looked amazing. What about you, Eric?
I loved a display of old cars I saw at a museum. It made me feel like I was back in time. A good display can make people excited or interested in something.
Yes. Sometimes a nice display in a shop window makes me want to go inside and buy. Well, that's all we have time for with our word display. Let's move on to our next word.
The next word is stand out.
Stand out.
Stand out. Stand out is a phrasal verb. It means to be very noticeable or to be different from others in a way that is easy to see. When something or someone stands out, they are easily seen or noticed because they are different or special.
That's right. We use stand out when we want to describe something that catches our attention or is remarkable.
Let me give an example sentence. Her bright red hair made her stand out in the crowd. It means that because of her red hair, people easily noticed her among many other people.
Here's another one. John's presentation stood out as the best in the class. It means that John's presentation was noticeably better than all the other presentations in the class.
That's a great example, Lisa. It's important to note that stand out is a phrasal verb. We can use it with from, like stand out from the rest.
Now, let's have a sample dialogue to show how we might use this phrase in a conversation.
We need to make our new product stand out from our competitors.
I agree. How can we make it stand out?
Well, we could use bright colors for the packaging. That would make it stand out on store shelves.
That's a good idea. We could also add a unique feature that our competitors don't have.
Excellent suggestion. That would really make our product stand out in the market.
That was a good use of stand out in a business context. I like how it showed different ways something can stand out.
Yes, it's a versatile phrase. So, Eric, have you ever done anything to try to stand out?
Well, when I was applying for jobs, I tried to make my resume stand out by using a creative design. What about you, Lisa?
That's a good idea. I once wore a very colorful outfit to a party to stand out. It worked. Everyone noticed me.
That's fun. It's interesting how we can stand out in different ways, isn't it?
Definitely. Sometimes standing out can be about looks, like in my example, but other times it's about skills or actions.
Absolutely. Well, I think we've covered stand out pretty thoroughly. This explanation really stands out, doesn't it?
Yes, I think our listeners will understand this phrase well now. What's next on our list?
This is our last word of today. The last word is break the ice.
Oh, that's an interesting phrase. Let's explain what it means.
Break the ice is an idiom that means to do or say something to make people feel more comfortable in a social situation, especially when they don't know each other well.
That's right. It's often used when people are meeting for the first time or when there's an awkward silence in a conversation.
Let me give an example sentence. The teacher asked everyone to introduce themselves to break the ice on the first day of class. It means that the teacher wanted the students to feel more comfortable by talking about themselves.
Good example. Here's another one. At the party, John told a funny joke to break the ice. It means that John used humor to make people feel more relaxed and start talking to each other.
Now, let's have a sample dialogue to show how we might use this phrase in a conversation.
Hey, Mike. How was the first meeting with your new team at work?
It was a bit awkward at first. No one was talking much.
Oh no, what did you do?
Well, I decided to break the ice by asking everyone about their favorite hobbies.
That's a good idea. Did it work?
Yes, it really helped to break the ice. Soon, everyone was chatting and laughing.
That was a good use of break the ice in context. So, Eric, can you think of a time when you had to break the ice?
Well, when I joined a new sports club, I broke the ice by asking people about their favorite teams. What about you, Lisa?
Oh, I once broke the ice at a party by starting a fun group game. It really helped everyone relax and start talking.
That's a great way to break the ice. Games can be very effective for that.
Definitely. It's interesting how many different ways there are to break the ice, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I think the key is to find something that makes people feel comfortable and encourages them to talk.
I agree. Breaking the ice can really help in making new friends or starting new relationships.
Well said, Lisa. Okay, I think we have reached the end of today's episode.
Yes, Eric. Thank you for listening to Simply Explained English. We hope you learned something new today.
Don't forget to subscribe and like our videos. See you next time.
Bye-bye.